All right, so if you are just joining us and you have never used Zoom before, if you hover with your cursor at the bottom of the video, you should have a menu that pops up. And there is a chat bubble. If you click the chat bubble, then it opens up a panel on the side and you'll be able to see comments and make comments throughout the training. And you'll be able to see other people's comments also. In that menu at the bottom, there's also a Q&A button. If you have a question for me, please put it in the Q&A button. My assistant is going to be helping me monitor the questions. And most questions we're going to be saving until the end. I'll check into it periodically as we move on, or as we move through things. But I suspect that most questions will be answered in the material that I have to share. And so I'm not going to worry too much about answering them, at least for the first hour when I'm doing the mentoring and training. And then at the end, I will stay and answer any questions that are in the box that have not already been answered by the material that I have presented, okay? So, but just if you have a question, don't put it in the chat box. The chat box is for responses and just engagement and just kind of just being active in part of the presentation. And your questions will be missed if that's where they are, because that's not where we're monitoring questions. So yes, Heather, it said her link should bring her straight to the meeting. Heather asked if the links they were sent, yeah, it says, I don't know why it would be sending her that. I'll have my assistant look into it. And if she can't make it in live, then obviously everyone will have a opportunity to watch the recording, which is not the best answer. This is one of those things we're testing out to try and see if this is a good platform to do this on, or if we end up having problems. So please feel free to give me any feedback, not necessarily during this, but when I ask for feedback, whether it's, sending me a text or commenting on the our Facebook group. If this platform, if you see, and if you have any troubles or things were difficult or, whatever, those are I'm open to feedback at any time about any aspect of this group and this program, because that's what I'm doing a beta program for, is to find out what are the best tools, how to use them, what's going to work best for this particular program when I am able to offer it to a wider audience. And again, if you are just joining us, I'm thanking you all from the bottom of my heart for being willing to take this test, be in this test group, and to offer that kind of feedback, and to really be committed to taking the steps and trying the advice and the recommendations that I'm going to give you so that you can see the results that you're looking for. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to get started, and I'm going to start by sharing my screen. So 1 second while I get this pulled up. Okay, so everybody should have received an email this morning with your materials that you need for this week's mentoring session. So each week, if you want to go ahead and type in the chat, well, actually when I'm sharing my screen, I can't see the chat. That's really annoying. Well, anyway, okay. Type in the chat. If you got your information, did you just say in there, got it? Or if it came too late. I went ahead and sent it on Monday morning, but I'm toying with the idea of sending it on Monday, so that Sunday afternoon, to give you a little bit more time to look at it and digest it and be ready and prepared. I like to take Sunday as a family day, and so I don't like to do business on Sunday, but this is a program that's not about business. This is a program that is working for our families. It is working to create a family culture and all the things that encompass the way our family works and runs. And so I think I am considering going ahead and sending it to you on Sundays, because I think that would be a great day when you have taken time away from your busy work schedule and all the other things. You're not worried about kids at school and homework and all that type of stuff, or cleaning your house or anything like that. You're not worried about all that kind of stuff on Sunday. If Sunday's not the day that you take off, that's okay. I'm just saying that I think that's a typical day that a lot of people take off as a family day. And so okay, it looks like I'm seeing in the chat, people are saying they got it, but they didn't have a lot of time. Okay, great. Well, I think I'm worried about sending it too early so that it's out of your mind. If it gets sent too early, then it gets buried in email. And so if I send it with just the right amount of time, we'll play with it. I think I'm going to go ahead and do it on Sundays morning. I'll just schedule to have it sent on Sundays, so that when you are at home after you've maybe gone to church or maybe had family time or whatever it is you do on your Sunday, then when you're ready to have some personal time and think about your week ahead, you can pull it up and it goes right along and partners perfectly with family time during your Sunday afternoon. All right, so let's move on. I also posted it in the Facebook group. So maybe what I'll do is I'll post it earlier in the Facebook group and then make sure it's in your email by Sunday. And that way, those of you who want to look at it a little bit earlier, you'll have access to it there. I'm not going to be putting the whole program in the Facebook group all at once. And there's a method and reason for that, because I don't want anyone to skip over important elements. So I want to give this to you line upon line, and just one or two concepts at a time, so that you can really focus on and be present in what we're doing this week before moving on to the next step. So let's go ahead, and what I'm looking at right now on my screen and what I'm showing you is the welcome packet. Hey, Tana, can you see that little box as my cursor says a close-up?
Yeah.
You can? I don't know why that's going away. Why that's doing that. Okay. So I'm looking at the welcome packet that you should have gotten this morning, and I want to start by talking to you just really quickly. This first part of our call today is all about orientation. We're going to be talking about what the program entails, the pieces and the elements that that work together to make this program work, and how it's going to be delivered to you. And then the second half is we're going to start with my mentoring session with you guys today. And I'm trying to keep today and every week at 1 hour. Because of the orientation stuff, we may go a little bit over, but don't feel guilty if you have to get off and watch the last little bit of replays. Always, every week, Q&A time will be after the initial mentoring session. So the calls can technically go longer than 1 hour, because I'm really committed to answering all the questions that you as a group have, and to be here and available. So I will stay as long as it is needed to answer the questions that people have. But just know that the training portion and the mentoring session portion is aiming to be just a solid hour that you can count on every week. And I really want to introduce to you, I don't know if any of you are familiar with this word, wholehearted. I picked this as the name of this program because I couldn't think of a more perfect single word that encompassed what this program is. And I wanted to give you the definition. Wholehearted it's a descriptive word. It's an adjective that means completely and sincerely devoted, determined, or enthusiastic. How amazing would it be if you could describe your family and your home as being completely and sincerely devoted and determined and enthusiastic about being a part of your family and home? And it's a mark of being completely committed, free of all reservations and hesitation. So no conflicts, no one in dissent. Everyone's on the same page. You're all working towards a common good. To me, it is such a beautiful word, and it is so complete in describing what this program is. Okay, sorry. So it's really my goal for this whole program is to try and help you create this environment that not only has your family starting to adopt that mindset and that paradigm, but you actually being able to see that it's possible, that you can really imagine what it would be like so that you can keep that image and that vision in the forefront of your mind and make choices, intentional choices of how to act and or react if necessary, but how to proactively act and create the stage for your home and family that has that as a result. This program, has 5 elements that we're going to use to create this in your home. One is printable modules. So that's one of the things that I sent you this morning. And the module is really kind of just the bare bones of what we're going to be talking about each week. And it does give you space that you can take notes. It also helps you kind of remember what we talk about in our sessions. It's not everything we'll talk about in the sessions, but just kind of like an outline and the foundation, so that you have something to refer back to without having to watch the video over and over. Does that make sense? There's the printable modules, the live group mentoring sessions, which is what we're on right now, and the Q&A afterwards. We have the Facebook group, system materials, and accountability partners. And every single piece is intentional, and it has an element that it is essential. When I said it was essential, I really mean it is. They all add together, and there's something you can't neglect any one of them, okay? So let me just kind of explain to you this a little bit. So talking about the printable modules, each week, like I said, you're going to receive it by email, and it's going to contain an overview of what we're going to talk about. It's going to give you, it'll have these types of things. It'll have some explanations, but it'll have to-dos, and each to-do list is highlighted with a star. When I'm taking notes, I know this might be silly, but when I'm taking notes, I like to be really thorough in my note taking. And in order for me to know what I need to look back at, to refer to, like that I need to be taken, I always put a star next to my in my notes when I'm at a conference or in a class or something like that. So I just thought I'd go ahead and star your to-do list. These are the places of things that you need to take action. Before the weekly mentoring session, each week, I would like you to download, and you can use it as a digital copy. If you're not a paper person, then that's fine, because we don't need excess paper. But if you want to print it out, I do love the idea of being able to handwrite on it and take notes, and just collect each week's module in a binder that you can have as a reference. So my recommendation would be that you print it, put it in a binder so you don't have a paper mess, and have it as a reference that you can mark up and write on and underline and whatever you want. I also left this column on the side for you to write your little ahas, or if you have any inspirations, be open and listening to if something pops to your mind. Maybe when we're talking, you might have just things that pop in your mind that maybe don't even have anything to do with this. Whatever it is, write that in the margins. Those are inspirations that come to you because right now you're open to receiving. Being in a class, even if it's not about the topic we're talking about, your mind and heart is open to learning. And so you can receive information and inspirations and ideas that come to mind that might be blocked at other times when you're focusing really hard on, you know, being productive and you know, bustling around and doing things. So really take advantage of that and mark those things down in the columns, no matter what topic they're on. Okay. So I would recommend that before our meeting, you read through it and think about it, and you can even start doing things if you want. It's not required to do anything between when you get them as a module and when we have our mentoring session, but you might want to write down questions. Is there things that you're not understanding? You know, you may come to our mentoring session with questions already planned. And each week you have a new checklist that summarizes what's in the module. So it's easy without having to look through a whole bunch of paper. And I would print that new checklist and I would hang the new checklist up, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But I would put that wherever you're going to be using it. And, you know, after you get your printed module, after our mentoring meeting, this is how you're going to use your module on a weekly basis. So you're going to just make sure that you have set aside a few minutes every day to kind of look at it and start making it a habit that actually putting something into practice, not only thinking about what we're doing once a week. Because I don't know about you, but I have paid for programs, I've committed to being part of things, and unless I start putting it into my daily habit, it is something that all of a sudden a week goes by and you're like, oh my gosh, I had stuff I was supposed to do and we're already at another call and now I'm behind. And then that starts to feel self-defeating and discouraging. And one of the goals that we're going to be doing with how I've structured this is to start making daily habits that are just small. I said schedule 10 minutes, but I think it's even less than that. I think it's 1 or 2 minutes. It's just scheduling a time where you are like, I'm looking at it, I'm just reviewing, okay, I know what, it's just you're gonna take an overview and you're gonna recognize that there is something that you're still needing to do, and you can choose at least just one thing that you want to do next. So every day you're going to choose at least one thing. Maybe it is just what I just told you. Maybe it is just looking at it and keeping it in the forefront of your mind. Maybe you don't have any time that day to make any additional practice action steps, but that's not what we're worried about. We're worried about establishing the habit every single day right this second. And then every week you're going to record your progress on your checklist. So you're going to mark things off as they get accomplished, and each week it builds on the next. So you can be marking things off from week 1 on week 5 if you want, because you're just going to have them all, and you can just take the steps as you come. This is if you've ever worked with me one-on-one, you hear me say this to you until you are like, I am so sick of hearing you say this. And you are going to experience that. Also, this is my ultimate motto, okay? And this is really the secret to everything that I accomplish, is that I focus on 1%. Success is made up of consistent 1% improvements. If you ever take any course from me, work with me on a one-on-one basis, or are just someone who is a friend or family member in my life, you hear me say this over and over, because this has been one of those mantras or those truths or foundations that in my life that has consistently produced results for me. If I don't let myself get bogged down by the giant overall big picture, the huge goal, the giant dream that just feels overwhelming, and I focus on just what's the next step, what's the 1% that I can do a little bit better. If you can do it, I mean, if you only made 1% improvements, you don't have to just make 1% improvement every day. You can make consistent and 1% improvements. You can do 100 of them a day. You know what I mean? It's not limited, but you focus on something small, and you consistently focus on something small. And so if you if you adopt this and really let this sink into your core, which is what I'm hoping you will do, this will change your life, seriously. Just focus on what's the next step you can take and not get overwhelmed by all the steps that are ahead of you. Just take one. So make your weekly or record your progress. So the second element is going to be this live mentoring session that we have every week. We are going to be doing, originally I said there was going to be 8, but at about midpoint in the program, it's going to be between week 5 and week 7. There is going to be a time when we're going to be at a point in our program that I want you to be able to take a little bit more time to put things into action and to play some catch up before we move on. So week 6, we are not going to have a live mentoring session, but we will have a Q&A. It will not be the same time on Monday. On Monday at 1 o'clock, it'll probably be done on Facebook Live. And I'll let you know about that. But every other week, you can count on having this Monday session. If you can be here live, and I would love to hear in the chat box if you think this time is convenient. Let me give you my method for my madness when it comes to the scheduling. On Monday, I feel like it's our day to kind of regroup. We are back to business, kids are in school, we're maybe possibly back to work. 1 o'clock, I think, is not too early in the morning. When I feel like the morning on Monday, you need to kind of get yourself together, to kind of plan your week, hit the ground running, start getting things moving and going. 1 o'clock is possibly nap time if you have small kids, so that it may be a time where people with small kids have a break, but also is still in the time frame that when children are at school. It's after the time, it's giving you enough time in the morning to kind of get yourself going and ready for the week. And it's at the beginning of the week so that you can implement the things that we talk about as you are productive throughout the week. If we did it towards the end of the week, I think what would happen, because I toyed with doing it on Thursdays, which I think is a great day for meetings. But the reason I decided Monday instead is because there are things we need to put into practice, and that Monday is your launching day for the week. And Thursday, I think the tendency might be to get lost in the relief of the weekend and the breaks and the family time and self-care and things like that that you need to use in recovering on the weekends. And okay, it looks like I'm getting a lot of good responses. My thought also is I'm hoping that everybody recognizes that live is awesome, but watching the recording, you're really not losing anything unless you have a question that you need to answer live, or that you need answered live. I like if people will try to be on live, because I will be asking you for feedback like I am, and kind of engagement, and that also can help with your learning all these concepts, but it's not required. But I ask everybody to please go ahead and make sure that you schedule a time. If you know you're not going to be on here live, schedule a time for yourself and commit to watching the recording on Monday. I would say within 24 hours, like Monday, early Tuesday if possible, so that you don't lose the time of knowing what to go ahead and jump right into. I need to move a little faster. I'm getting too wordy. So the Facebook group, I know not everybody is super huge excited about having another Facebook group. I know I hear a lot of people, especially those of us that are online entrepreneurs and use that as a platform. It's just like, one more group. Well, this one, I'm asking you for engagement in this group, not because it's going to make the group more popular or anything like that, because this group is only going to be open and active for the 8 weeks, and maybe a couple weeks after the 8 weeks. After that, it will be shut down and we won't have access to the group anymore. It's really an intricate part of this program. And one of the things that, like I had mentioned earlier, we're wanting to establish daily habits, okay? So the Facebook group is a place that I can, as a mentor, be able to reach a whole group of you instead of just one-on-one, which is one of the benefits of having this kind of a program where I can be mentoring, 40 people at one time instead of having to limit my time to just one person every hour. And the reason I'm excited for that is because that is so many more people that I can help have these kind of results in their family. And that just speaks to my heart. That speaks to my mission. Now I'm going to get emotional. I'm going to start crying. But when I think about why I'm doing this, I'm full of emotion because I believe so strongly in families, and our role as women and mothers is so important. We have such a huge opportunity, and it can be hard and it can be overwhelming. And if there's anything that I can do to help you just be able to openly embrace and enjoy and model that joy and happiness and have a culture in your home that is sustainable and lasts after your kids grow and they move away from the home, and that it just is I see this ripple of this moving through the world as we create these cultures and the influence they can have as our children grow and embrace adulthood and are excited about having families and are excited about being parents, because it doesn't look hard. It doesn't look like drudgery. It looks challenging because we're not going to model something that's, we're not trying to make it seem like it's not a challenge, but we're going to show them that it's possible and it can be fabulous. It can be wonderful. And anyway, sorry. Went off on a tangent, but I get so passionate when I think about it. And in the Facebook group, this is one of the things that is going to help you establish daily habits. It's one of the ways I can, it's one of the ways that I can give you daily tips and mentoring, and that you can check in and report your progress. So I'm asking you to do is to regularly, you don't have to do it every day, but if you do it every day, that would be awesome. I will post something every day that asks for feedback or response that you can share. It doesn't have to be, it's not feedback as in how are we doing necessarily. It's like, it's asking you to share a picture of something that, one of the action steps I'm giving you that week or something like that, or share your feelings about a question I ask or something like that. It'll be something quick, but you can interact and keep this program in your mind every single day. It's not something that has to be something that's going to suck your time. I would say 5-10 minutes, even set an alarm and check the Facebook group. Like I said down here, if you're not a big fan of Facebook, then you don't have to scroll through the timeline. There's not going to be a timeline of a bunch of information. I'm not going to be doing a million posts. It's going to be a single check-in kind of post every day with topics that'll support you in whatever we're doing then, focusing on that week. And it'll keep you in the habit of keeping these principles in your everyday. And that's also where I will put the links to the recordings and links to the resources if for some reason you've lost them in your email or whatever. Who knows? I just want to make sure you have everything. I would like everybody, especially those of you who are someone who invited another person to be part of this group with you, check the Facebook group if you're in it, and check the members and make sure that your partner is part of the Facebook group. If they're not, let them know. Either add them and let them know. They have to still select join, approve the joining the way Facebook groups do, but just make sure that your accountability partner is on there also. All right. The system materials, that it will just come along with your module. They're just extra things that there are things that you actually need to print for when we start putting together your work system, or, well, like I said it here, it's either materials that you need to actually gather, something you have around the house, or it's possibly something that I would suggest that you acquire or go purchase, or something you need to print that'll help you create the system. It's like a tool that you'll use in your home. Okay, a lot of the things that I ask you to print, I suggest you print on cardstock, not the module, but the system materials. So just giving you a heads up, if you want to go get yourself a small package of white cardstock or something like that. And a lot of things I will suggest you laminate. Not a ton, but if you have a little laminator, awesome. Make sure you've got some sleeves. And if not, ask one of your neighbors or find out, if your local copy store or something like that has laminating options. And then lastly, the accountability partners. Everybody who went ahead and paid the commitment fee to be part of this group was able to invite a friend or family member or to join them in this. And the reason I'm doing that is I have 5 sisters, and everything that I have ever done that I feel like I've made tons of progress, I've enjoyed doing when I have a friend doing it with me, someone who's close to me. And I love having one of my sisters jump on board and work towards something, or my good friends or something like that, and where we can kind of just talk back and forth, but I don't have to be always explaining what I'm doing. They know what I'm doing, they understand what I'm talking about because they're in it with me. And it just is another way of keeping you going and moving in the program. I wanted everybody, I know I only sent this to you this morning, so this is not a big deal. This is something you'll do this week. You're just going to check with your action partner, and you're going to decide between the two of you how often you want to check in. There's a couple people out there who are looking for a group. If you are one of those people who contacted me and said you're looking for a group, or you don't have anybody you want to invite, we may have some threesomes that we put together, but it's totally fine. It's not added work. You just have a text group or a Facebook Messenger group that includes more than one person, or maybe you set up a free Zoom account and you can see each other once a week that way. It doesn't have to be complicated. All it is somebody that you can share your successes, share your ahas, share the actions you're taking. If you are looking for an action partner, go ahead and let me know. Aline, I see your question. And as soon as this week, the week goes and we kind of get everything settled, now that the registration is completely closed, we'll be able to kind of filter down and see who is left and who is still looking for partners, and I'll help you guys pair up. So don't worry. Just let me know if anyone else out there is also, if you haven't already, let me know. Okay. All right. So what you can expect from me, what you can expect from this program. I know a lot of you have joined and just on trust, just from knowing me and working with me, or some of you are my friends and some of you are my family members, or you know me through working, or have met me at a conference, or used to live in my neighborhood, or all these different things like that. And I know this is a leap of faith to commit to do this. And all of you who have been invited who don't know me at all, I just want to make sure you understand what you can expect. Okay, in this program, we are going to learn how to change your current way of thinking so that you can let go of the kind of mentality that is just getting you in your way of you having the results that I'm promising in this program. So where we are, you can expect that we will be talking about mindset, and that is actually that's a big part of what we're doing this week. You're going to learn how to evaluate your own personal habits and to make whatever changes are necessary for you. Not everyone is going to be on the exact same page, right? well, we're all going to be on the same page, but some of us might be the top page, some of us are at the bottom of the page. Everyone's in different stages in this process already, because you all have, there may be, well, you know what I'm saying. Everybody, hopefully you know what I'm saying. Everybody is at different stages in their family. I am going to give you the information and teach you how to see what is applicable to you. There's no part of it that anyone should feel exempt from. That's, oh, I don't have to worry about that. You may be that you don't have to work as hard to establish habit because it's already habit. That is totally possible, because these are not that crazy of habits. They're pretty normal. But if you have a habit, please listen, looks like what I'm teaching, please listen to the details and the intricacies around what I teach you, and so that you can evaluate if there's things that you need to tweak, because you wouldn't be here if you had all of the results that you were looking for or hoping for, and you didn't have any of the worry. So there may be things that you can tweak and just get that make a difference, because a lot of things I found are really simple solutions. They're not that complicated. They're just a different way of saying it, or not saying something, or the order you do something. I mean, it's crazy how often those types of solutions are really the big game changers. So we're going to learn how to inspire your family to participate instead of forcing and creating power struggles. You can expect to create a family work system that's comprehensive. It's going to include all the work that needs to be done in your house, with both personal responsibility as well as cleaning and that's hilarious. I just literally drew a blank. It's going to include cleaning your home as well as other jobs that help make your family work, like cooking and special skills, and even skills that people need, your children and family need as adults. You can really expect to be able to let go of a lot of mom guilt, because that was really something that gets in our way and takes up our time and mental energy. You're gonna feel a lot more self-confidence, and you're going to feel content and joyful, and really start to feel comfortable and settled in who you are as a mom, and you're going to see those changes start to happen in your children. It's really exciting. And you're also going to have opportunities in this program to teach your kids important, like I said, talking about the important life skills that it will really help them be more excited about becoming an adult, and making them feel confident that they really do have what it takes to embrace being, that next stage of life. And, I want to make sure that this program is not just for your kids. It is totally is a whole family endeavor. It's you, and it will include your husband, and you will be inspiring and setting the example for him, just like you will be for your children. And we'll be talking about how to enroll your husband as well as your children. And it's not just about getting chores done. It's not a system that doesn't require you to make changes. It's not something, and if any of you are here hoping that this system is a system that will make your house 1000%, if that's even possible, spotless and Instagram worthy, that is not our goal. That might be a result, but that is not our goal. That is no way, shape, my goal. So if that's what you're looking for, I just want you to know now that's not the purpose of a work system. It's not a purpose of a wholehearted home. Wholehearted home is bringing everyone together, everyone on the same page, everyone committed, working together, loving each other, and cooperating. That's our goal, okay? And it's not a system that runs itself. It is a system that does take a paradigm shift from your perspective as a mom. So it's not going to be something that it's like, oh, if I just set this up, then I don't have to worry about my kids. They will just be doing what they want, and I can do whatever I want. I doubt any of you are really thinking that, but I just want to cover my bases to make sure that you guys know what to expect. My responsibility when it comes to this group is I'm going to show up every week. I'll be on time and I'll be prepared. I'm going to be fully present, and I'm going to be trying to listen to you guys wholeheartedly. I'm fully committed to listening and hearing the feedback you're giving me, as well as answering the questions that come up and the questions that you have. I am going to ask you to stretch and help you to perform at a higher level than wherever you're at. Like I said, we're all at different spots. So wherever you're at, we're going to be just go a little bit higher. And I'm going to offer you honest feedback and support, encouragement and guidance throughout the program as best I can. I'm really committed to doing that. I'm going to help you stretch and grow as a woman and as a mom, and let your unique gifts and talents bless your family and home. I'm going to make sure that I will provide you with all the materials and information and training that you need to be successful in creating this program. And what I'm asking of you is that you attend or watch the recordings every single week of this group mentoring session without distractions, preferably. I know we are busy moms, and if you have to choose between not listening at all and having to listen while you're driving in the car, then I would say listen driving in the car. But whenever possible, if you can figure out a way to be able to have your module where you can take notes and you can listen and really digest and let yourself be open to the inspirations that'll come as you're open and learning and open for learning and digesting new information, that is going to be ideal. I'm expecting you to give 100% of your effort before, during, and after our mentoring group sessions throughout our program. I want you to follow a no excuse policy. Just accept what happens. Except if you make a mistake, just own it. It's okay. Move on. We're a no drama, no excuses. We're just supportive. Okay. We're accountable to ourselves and to our partners. We don't judge. We're just supportive, and we are just a community helping each other to succeed. Take 100% responsibility for your results. What you put into the program, you will get out of it. And it is not a one and done thing. This is something I'm going to teach you, and you'll be building on it. And the system will be complete, but it's one of those things, with anything that you're changing in your life, it takes time and consistent effort. So you'll have the material. This is great because you're going to have the material. And so you can review it and continue to figure out how it works with your family as you continue, longer than our 8 weeks, and work with your family to really make it happen. I'm asking you to be open and coachable, to be willing to look at things from a different frame of mind, to be intentional and begin each week with clarity about what you're working towards and a renewed commitment to making progress. So this means no beating yourself up, no saying negative things and horrible things. We're going to talk about that in just a second, because my orientation is like our whole hour. I should have had an orientation for much longer. And I'm asking you to be active in the Facebook, to ask questions when they arise, to lovingly support your accountability partner without judgment, to take the feedback surveys and give me honest feedback. If you know me as an actual person, and I'm someone that has been in your life, I am the person that you can count on to be honest. I lovingly give you honest feedback, but I will never lie to you. And so I am desperately asking you to do the same to me. Don't worry about hurting my feelings or anything like that. That's really what I'm offering you this as a part of this program, is to give me honest feedback, even if it's hard. I do want constructive criticism. I want criticism that gives me a place in a direction where I can improve. So I want to make sure you understand that I give loving feedback to you, and I will be honest, even when it's hard sometimes to hear. I will say things to you that you need to hear, with lots of love, but I will never hold back and give you a false sense of everything is okay. And I want you to tell me the same thing. If there's something there, how the program is working and it's not, and you think, oh, this is frustrating, or this totally backfired on me, or, you know, whatever it is I don't anticipate that, but obviously I don't anticipate it, but I'm hoping that if something like that does happen, you'll feel comfortable and confident that you can talk to me and give me that kind of feedback, and that I can do what I can to problem solve that. That's my niche, right? I'm a problem solver. I'm a system expert that we refine. I'm a refiner. So I love that kind of feedback. And I want you to be honest. I'm asking that you be honest also by not sharing the resources and materials that you receive as part of this course for free with others that aren't participating. But I would love for you to refer women to me who you think might benefit from this opportunity and to participate in this kind of an experience in the future when I'm offering it to a wider group. So that's what I'm asking of you. And yes, we have 10 minutes left, and we're going to jump right in quickly to our module. So, anybody have any questions about how the program is going to work? I don't see any in the question box. Everyone is still with me? Are you drowning things out? Jillian, you asked what's the name of the Facebook group? Oh, Tannen answered. Okay, you got it. Just give me a heads up, a stretch. You made it through the first orientation and we're good. Okay. All right. So module 1, let's dive right in. This is our laying the foundation for family culture. And I have to apologize to you right now that I know we're not going to get through this in 10 minutes or 11 minutes. That is something good to know. That orientation of how the program works, I should probably have done as a completely separate call and meeting. If you guys need to jump off at the 1 hour, please come back and watch the remaining amount. But I think this is gonna more likely be about a 2:30 end time as I go through this, because I feel like okay, Tannen says that some of you are looking for the PDFs. Sorry, let me really quickly answer this. You can get the PDFs of this module and the welcome packet on the Facebook group. They're under the files on the Facebook group. So when you go to Facebook, in fact, I can probably show you. Well, so when you go to the Facebook group over here under the files, there's module 1 and the welcome packet. And in module 1, there are the links to the some of the system materials that I shared there also. All right. So it looks like I would rather make sure I give the time to explaining this module and what I want you to focus on this week than to try and fit it into that 1 hour. Is everybody okay with that? Can I just get some feedback on the chat? Are you guys good? Okay, great. Thanks. All right. And like I said, if you guys have to leave, I totally understand, and I will make a note of this in the future because I think that orientation was important and we just need to separate it the next time I do this. All right, so module 1, week 1, this week we are laying the foundation of this family culture. And I use that word a lot, and I want to define it here for you, what I am meaning when I talk about family culture, okay? Can you see my screen correctly now? Yeah, okay, awesome. Our family culture, it is who we are as a family. It's the way you identify yourself. It's how you describe yourself to your to other people. I always think of this as, you know, how my kids, when I would overhear my kids saying, well, we always, you know, when we fill in the blank, you know, they would be talking to a friend or something. I'm like, well, our family, we always, you know, the fact that they had those kind of things to say meant that they had an identity in our family, because they were able to say, this is who we are. This is what my family does. We always do blank, 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 whatever it is, you know. And it's what makes you different. It's what makes you unique. It's what makes your family unit special. And it's really what gives your family a sense of belonging, that makes them feel a part of something. And when you feel part of something, you are committed to it. You are more committed. You are more willing. When you recognize and see this bigger picture of what you are contributing to, it is 1,000 times easier to elicit cooperation. It's the traditions, the habits, the practices, and the values that you share as a family. Now, every aspect that I'm going to be teaching you over the next 8 weeks is designed to create this family culture, because that family culture is really the secret. It's really the secret to making your homework system work. Not having to fight with your teenagers or your little kids to get things done. Not have to nag your family about picking things up, or not being the grumpy mom that feels like all of the only conversation you ever have with your kids is telling them to do something, or getting mad at them because they haven't done something, or taking away their devices or something like that because they're not doing what they're supposed to first. This culture it's the little underutilized secret, I guess. This is something I discovered at I don't even know if I remember the exact point when I discovered this, but it was like gold when I figured this out. And it made all the difference in the world. And I used to, like, back when I first started doing my chore system, I started kind of on this path when I that picture that I shared with you of Tannen when she was a baby and her monkey tied to her. That really was a sliding door moment for me, when I realized that I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea what I was doing as a mom and a home manager. I was completely unequipped to manage all of the different roles that I all of a sudden found myself in. She was my second kid, so I had 2 little kids. At that time I would have had a 3-year-old, and she looked like she was about 1-year-old or so. And I obviously was just over my head. And in that moment, I started trying to figure out how to get all the work that I needed to done. So I started reading a ton of things and going to conferences and looking at experts and trying to figure out how to do this. And I realized quite quickly, I can't do it alone. This was not, and I kind of joke about this, which is not something I actually believe about myself, but I tell people I'm lazy. I don't like to do things the hard way. So, but that's a joking way of saying I like to find the most efficient way to do something with the best result. And that's just one of my ways of thinking. And that's one of my gifts, is I can hear something and I can see how it's going to work on a long-term basis. My mind very quickly makes a whole bunch of connections, and that's what makes me an amazing problem solver and a systems expert, is because I can quickly eliminate the things that I know are not going to serve the bigger picture. And this family culture, I realized early on, and like I said, I don't have a specific moment when I realized it, but it was at that time that I realized this was the secret. This was the key, is you had to have your whole family as committed to doing what you were doing as you were, as I was. I had to teach my family to be all in. Otherwise, I could never do it alone. I was not willing to do it alone. Like I said, some people might describe me as a little on the lazy side, but I don't think I'm not going to say that anymore, because that's like such a bad way of saying it. I don't love that energy, but I do like to do it in the most efficient and with the best results. And that's why I don't like to take actions that are not going to give me the results I want. I'm going to take the easiest action with the best results. Okay. And this is one of them. This is the secret. So everything that I'm teaching you is going to help you identify that culture for you and your family. So each week, we are not going to have a new intention each week, but this first phase of this program, the intention we are going to focus on is this. And if you don't know what an intention is, I kind of gave you this little bit of a explanation. When you make a conscious choice to have a reason, an intention just gives you clarity. It gives you clarity and purpose and direction to why you're doing something. So the intention we have this week, and then this first phase, it's not just this week, it'll probably be for the next couple weeks. In this first phase of this program is that your family, the intention is my family learns that everyone in our home is worthy of love, belonging, and joy. Everyone's loved, we all belong, and we all can be happy. It's not only mom's happy, you kids are just have to suffer through it because I'm the boss. That's not what it is. You belong to something important, and you are loved even when things are hard. It's not you against me. We're all in it together. Okay. Your family learns that everyone in your home is worthy of love, belonging, and joy. And they see me so they learn that by you modeling self-compassion and embracing your own imperfections. So we are going to learn to model to our family giving ourselves grace, not modeling overstressed and overwhelmed and discouragement and saying horrible things about ourselves and describing ourselves as failures or acting out of anger and frustration. We're going to practice self-compassion and embracing our own imperfections. It's okay. You don't have to be perfect. That's not what we're aiming for. And we're going to model courage when we're consistently working to learn and grow every day. And we're going to share those stories of our experiences as we learn and grow, as we struggle. And we're going to share our stories of struggle and strength because you want to model and show your kids that there's room in your home for both. It's not about being perfect. And that's why the guiding principles we're going to be focusing on you're going to be starting with you, not starting with getting your family under control. And you are going to model being passionate and dedicated, not perfect. No one looks at someone who's perfect and feels encouraged. We're encouraged by someone we can relate to, and we can relate to people who have flaws because we're all human, who have struggles, who have to make corrections, who have to stop and evaluate and go, okay, that's not working. Let me try that again. And that is the encouraging model you want to show your kids. You don't want your kids to look at you and think, oh, mom doesn't know what I'm talking about, doesn't know what it's like. It's so hard. No, you want to show your kids it is hard, but look, even when you're doing something hard, you can be happy. Even when you're doing something hard, you can make 1% improvements that build up and build on each other and help you move towards the progress that you're looking for. That is what you're going to model, and those are the guiding principles we're going to keep in the forefront of our mind as we move through these next couple weeks. So when it comes to your family culture, you moms, you are the center of this culture. You're the connectors, you're the nurturers, you're the examples. And everything in your home and family, it ripples out from you. I mean, I know you probably know that, but what I don't know that you know, that is actually good news. It is, the reason it's good news is because you are the only thing you have control over and the ability to change. You can inspire and motivate everyone around you, but you are the only thing that you actually can physically change. Okay, and you will inspire your family through your journey, through struggling, through the triumphs you're going to have, through the highs and the lows as you move through this, and you're going to model new habits and behaviors that you're going to want them to adopt. Let me just check in. What you're looking at the chat box and just double checking. Okay, awesome. I just saw some chats come up, so I wondered if there were some more questions. All right. So you moms, as that center, I just want you to recognize that you should be excited, not feeling like it's a burden. I know right now a lot of you might be feeling like you have so much mom guilt. You have so much disappointment and frustration. Why can this all not work already? Why don't you already know how to do this? And I just want you to let that go of that. Right now, we are going to talk about letting go of all of those thoughts that come to mind. So I'm going to scroll really quickly to the end of this module. The very last page of the module is this funny little page with a gremlin. You know, I'm like 40-something. So gremlins were a big thing when I was little, right? And there's this last page of your module is this Goodbye Gremlins page, okay? So if you were able to print this, you can print as many of these this Gremlins page as you want. I'm going to talk about it here. I want you to, every week when you are listening to this mentoring session, I want you to have a gremlin sheet. If you don't want to print that out, if you don't, I may not know if you want to waste ink with it or not. I don't think it's a waste, but it's up to you. It's totally your decision. But if you don't print that out, that's okay. Just get a piece of paper. I want you to have a piece of paper that's not connected to your notes, that's not connected to the module, that is a single piece of paper on your own. Because as I talk and as I teach in these mentoring sessions, there are going to be gremlins that pop into your head. I'm going to be describing something, and so there is going to be a little voice that you hear that says, you're never going to be able to do that. It's going to be like, oh, I already know I'm going to fail at this. You never do that. Gremlins are those thoughts, the labels, the negative feelings that or assumptions about ourselves that we have allowed to build up, that they're not us, they're not you. They are coming from outside of you, and they are trying to attack something that is so important. Your role and your family culture is so vital and such an important thing that you just need to anticipate it. If you don't already experience gremlins in your life, those whether they're shame or whether it's gremlins that just are, just doubts, fears, frustrations, accusations about yourself, where, I don't know, it could be anything. But just anticipate that if you don't already recognize those in your life, they are going to start coming, because what this program is focusing on is something good. And there is energy and entities out there that do not want this wonderful, good thing, strong thing to be created, because it is so powerful and so amazing. And maybe that's too gypsy voodoo for you, but just trust me, those thoughts are going to come up. And what I want you to do is, as soon as one of those kind of thoughts comes into your mind, I just want you to write it on your gremlin sheet. You can write it on the little gremlin sheet, or you can write it on a separate piece of paper. But I don't want you to hang on to it. I want you to, as we're listening, just write anything that you have come to your mind that is a label or a defining something that you believe. Maybe it's a self-belief. Maybe it's a discouraging belief about yourself. Maybe it's old evidence of why you think this is going to be too hard for you, or maybe why you are worried about whether you can follow through and commit and see the changes that you really want to see. So after our meeting, after this session, I want you to take that gremlin sheet and I want you to destroy it. But I want you to make an intention that as you are writing these down, that you're going to be kind of feeling the relief of not holding on to that thought anymore. You're actually going to be putting it onto a piece of paper and saying, yeah, I don't want that. I don't want to think about that anymore. That's not what I want to focus on. You're going to put it on this gremlin piece of paper and you're going to capture it on that sheet. And then you get to destroy the gremlins. And I particularly love I love actually that gremlin sheet. As I put it in the shredder and you see it going down and it gets to where it's hitting the gremlin, and that's why it says goodbye gremlins, because there's something satisfying about it going into the shredder and just being annihilated. There's nothing you can do. You can't even pull the paper out when it's halfway through, you know? And just breathe into that feeling and just imagine that weight of those negative thoughts and those labels just roll off of you, and just forgive yourself for having them, for thinking them, for holding on to them if you've done that, or just show gratitude. Just send up a prayer of gratitude as, oh, thank you for bringing those to my attention so I can let them go. This is something I would like you to do every day, anytime. Do it during this particular session every week, but also every day as you're working through your program, you are going to have things come up. You're going to have those kind of things come up, and I want you to capture them. I want you to be intentional about capturing them, because we don't need them to get in our way. We're taking care of them. We're just going to get them out of our way so we don't have to deal with it. We're going to focus our attention and our energy on what's going to produce something, not what's going to hold us up. And those are going to hold us up. Does that make sense? Everybody are you catching what I'm talking about? If you want, go ahead and put in the chat a gremlin that you might already have heard while you've been sitting here. And that's the other thing I want you to do with your gremlins, is I want you to share them. I want you to tell I want you to tell us about them. I'll probably do regular posts about gremlins, because gremlins thrive in secrecy. So they're the thing. I mean, do you remember that from the movie back when we were little, that gremlins didn't like sunlight. They didn't like to be brought to the light. I love Brene Brown uses this as an example in her research, when she teaches about her research, uses this metaphor, and I love it because it really is true. When you have something that you feel bad about and you don't want anybody to know, it makes you hold tighter to it. You hold it tighter to it, and it is not something you can change. But if you say, you know what, this is how I feel, and you bring it into the light, it gives people the opportunity to support you with empathy and encouragement, where you can now see that as something that you don't have to hold on to anymore if you don't want to. So I encourage you, as another way to use your accountability partner in the Facebook group, to really let go of those. You're not spewing them on everybody. You're bringing them to the light. Think of shining a light on a gremlin, and it will shrink from there as we support each other with empathy and encouragement. Okay, so that's the first thing I want you to do when it comes to letting go and getting yourself to believe that you as a mom, wherever you are, can start making this change start to happen. The other thing I want you to do for letting go is I want you to, sometime this week, it doesn't have to be today, but sometime between now and the next time we meet, I want you to take a moment. I would set aside a certain period of time. I would say minimum of 15 minutes. It'd be great if you did it in the evening or sometime when you could not have any distractions, or maybe first thing in the morning before your kids wake up. I don't know when's the best time for you, but sometime when you can take 15, 20 minutes and go somewhere and just write the way you're feeling about your family culture right now. This is going to let your I want you to write out why you were even interested in this program. You gave me a little snippet of it when you registered, but I want you to really describe what are the pains and the things you're sick of dealing with. What are those reasons that you're like, I know this can happen and I'm just not having it in my life right now. I don't know what, whatever your frustrations are, describe the situation that you're excited to get over. And the reason I'm going to have you do this is because anytime during this program, when it starts to get difficult, or maybe when you're like, oh my gosh, I'm behind or whatever, I want you to be able to remember where you were today, where you were, what you were frustrated with, why you were even interested in committing to this program. I want you to capture that thought and feeling the way you are today, because it's going to lighten and it's going to get better, and it's not going to feel as urgent because things are going to start changing. But I want you to have that so that when you get discouraged or you feel like you could, kind of set it off to the side and never mind, this is too much, I don't want to worry about this anymore, you can remember why you committed. You committed because you are sick of it. You don't want this to happen in your life anymore. You're done with this, feeling overwhelmed, feeling strained, feeling like there's too much contention, feeling like a guilty mom, feeling like you can't focus on anything, feeling out of control, whatever it is. It could be any of those things. It could be none of them. It could be very unique to you. I just want you to capture how you're feeling right now and be able to recognize that's not where you're wanting to stay. And as soon as we've gotten the practice of letting go of our gremlins regularly and identifying where we are right now, then we are ready to create a daily mindset practice that we are going to see support us in changing. I like this quote: we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. Isn't that so true? If you keep thinking the same thing you've always thought and expect a different result, it's the same thing as doing the same thing and expecting a different result. You've got to change your thoughts. So this is our action. There are big action step for this week. We're letting go and we're empowering ourselves with something positive. And this is something you're going to use throughout the course. And this is called your sacred space. I'm going to have you and suggest to you that you create and start using as a daily habit a sacred space. Some of you might already have mindset practices, but most of you probably, from what it seems typical as I work with people one-on-one, the average person knows about mindset and thinking positive. They have a Pinterest board of positive quotes and things like that. But they don't have a practice that they are regularly infusing their lives with positive thinking and the way they think about themselves. We're going to use a couple of different tools. So first of all, I'd love you to create your own sacred space. Now, this is some place where you can be alone. I like it to be a place that is not open to your family. This is some place that you can be vulnerable you can be vulnerable, but it doesn't have to be an announcement to everyone. This is your own personal space that you can feel like you can be open and raw and authentic and work on yourself without worrying about anybody else around you, without worrying about what your kids think, or if someone overhears you, or it may even be something you don't want to be in your husband's business. I don't know. I have mine on the inside of my closet door. I can open my closet door and I can see it there, but it's not displayed for anybody to see. I think a good place is also the back of your bedroom door, or maybe if you have a master bedroom or master bathroom or something that is not one that like people come in your house and use all the time. That would be a good place also. I like it to have a mirror because I want you to be able to look at yourself and lovingly tell yourself things that will encourage and support you in making these changes. So if it already has a mirror like the bathroom, awesome. If not, I have, I'll post this week what mine looks like. And I just have, I went and got a cute round mirror because I like things that are cute. And I got a cute round mirror and I stuck it with command strips up in the inside of my, my closet door. And I put around it encouraging quotes or sayings that I need. And we're going to talk about that here in your module. There is a link to Compassion Whispers and Permission Slips. It's also in the Facebook group. And let me just show you what these are. We're going to talk about Compassion Whispers first. So these are just, I just put, like I said, I like things that are cute. So I made, you don't have to use these. You can write on sticky notes if you want. If you just want to be fast and easy, just write them on sticky notes. There is no right or wrong. I just thought, you know what? I'm a cutesy kind of person. I like when something makes me want to look at it and encourage me to look at it. So each of these have 3 papers. There's one that's blank and colored. There's one that has some suggestions. And these are just some suggested compassionate whispers. And then there is a black and white in case you don't want to print in color. So now what a compassion whisper is these are the things that you need to hear to combat those defeating thoughts or self-criticism, those gremlins, and the things that come up. They're the words of compassion and encouragement that you can access whenever you need them. You get to choose what they are. Those ones on the paper I'm giving you are just suggestions because I want you to start without putting too much thought into it. But as you go, if there's one up there, take it down. It's not set in stone. It's just sticky tape. It's just tape, right? Just take it down if it's not something you like to read anymore. Or maybe it calls to you right now, but in a month, it's not going to call to you anymore, okay? You choose what they are. It's what you need to hear. It's the things that need to combat those negative thoughts for you personally. And by intentionally reading them and saying them and even sharing them, you begin to create, I mean, this is like scientific. This is not just my opinion, but you begin to create new neural pathways. So I know we're short on time, but let me just kind of explain this really quickly to you. When we think things, when you think something like, say I have an example. I'll use my example. It was earlier saying, I think I'm lazy or whatever. That is okay. If I know I used to joke about that and instead I've decided to frame it differently because I am not a lazy person, but I used to think I was lazy because I didn't like to do things that I didn't think worked, right? I didn't recognize that's why I didn't like it. I just thought I didn't do things. Well, I just didn't like to do things, like I was just lazy, right? I really did think that about myself. I do not believe that now. I know that it is different, like I was explaining earlier. But okay, so say that is something that I would say all the time or would think to myself all the time. My brain, because that was something that was so familiar to me, and I would use those words and those thoughts, I would think that about myself on a regular basis. It creates a path, just like you're in a forest and someone is using a path over and over and over, and it becomes a noticeable, easy to follow path through the trees and the undergrowth, right? Well, your brain does that exact same thing with the thoughts and words that we use on a regular basis. And what we're trying to do here is to create a new path, so that we don't automatically default to those negative things. We're shredding and getting rid of those negative thoughts and gremlins, and we're trying to replace them with something new. And the only way you can replace it is by using that neural pathway, that path in your brain between the thoughts you know, what happens and you thinking a good thought. You want to create that path and use it so much that it's the thick, easy to, I mean, not the thick, it's the well-defined path through the forest, like I was talking about. You know, it's when you walk into, you know, a hiking trail or something, it's easy to know where to go because a million people have hiked there, and you don't have to, you know, wander off through the trees. It's easier to stay on the path. That's what you're doing in your brain. And that's why we're using these, I'm wanting you to use this and create these new pathways with compassionate, kind things to say. Think of yourself, think of these sayings as if you were going to, if you had a friend or a family member or one of your children come to you and say something negative about themselves, what are the encouraging things that you would say to them? You know, if you came and if you had one of your kids walk up to you and say, "Mom, I'm so stupid," what would you say to them? "Yeah, you're stupid." No, you wouldn't. You'd be like, "Honey, no, you're not. You are a son or daughter of God," or whatever it is you believe. You have value. You are important to me. You have a whole lifetime to grow and learn. No, what you know right now is not who you are forever. You have an ability to, you might not know everything that you want about a certain subject, but you have the ability to learn and grow in that subject every day. It's so exciting. The possibilities are endless. Like you would tell them all these encouraging things, right? Those are what compassionate whispers are. It's what you need to hear to get over your self-beliefs, the negative things that you think about yourself. And then the other thing that I'm giving you is permissions. And I am super big on permissions. Same thing with here. You've got a page of blank, colorful ones, and then ones that I gave you some suggestions, and then some black and white ones that you can fill in. And permissions are they're pretty straightforward. They are statements that are permissions that you need to hear from yourself that allow you to put aside old evidence, past experiences, and outdated assumptions, and own who you are so that you can move forward. So for instance, I love this one. I give myself permission to take time to make progress. You're not going to make changes today and everything's going to work tomorrow. You give yourself time to make changes, to take the time that you personally need, not what everybody else needs, to make progress. You can give I like this one too. You can forgive yourself for any mistakes you make, and you give yourself permission to try again today. Don't let yourself get discouraged. You give yourself permission to practice self-compassion and to give yourself grace, to not beat yourself up if every day doesn't look the way you planned it to the day before, to focus on progress and let go of expectations of perfection, to share your stories of struggle and strength. That's part of our intention, right? And in the Compassion Whispers, I actually did I actually put on here the intention for the next couple weeks, this one down here. So you have that when you print that also. So you are going to put these up around your mirror, and you are going to make a daily practice of spending time each day in this sacred space. And what this looks like is you're going to come into wherever it is. I open my closet door and I attach it to an already existing habit. So I get dressed every single day and it's perfect. It's right there in my closet door. But before I can close my door, after getting dressed, I stand in front of my mirror and I read all of them twice. And that's my habit. Okay. So, and I know because I've attached it to something I do without thinking, I get dressed without even thinking. And it could be anything for you. Maybe it's you brush your teeth every morning. Maybe it's after you put your contacts in, or, whatever it is, attach it to an already existing habit you have and decide to read your compassionate whispers and the permission slips and your intention for this current week. every single day. This is optional, but you can also record yourself reading all of these things on your phone. So at times during the day when you need more encouragement or you need to hear something and feel, lifted up and given courage and self-compassion throughout your day, you can listen to that even when you can't be alone, because you can put a headset in your head and give yourself a little bit of that boost. And remember this 1%. These compassion whispers and the permissions that you give yourself and the intention that you're setting is just to help you to be able to make take the next step. The last thing I'm going to ask you to do this week is to get clear about what your family culture looks like for you. So I'm going to let you, because we're short on time, I'm going to go ahead and let you read through this to do this exercise. But what the purpose of this is if you don't know what you're working for, because I'm having you journal a little bit about how you feel right now. But then I would like you to imagine what you're working towards. And and I want this to have two parts. I want you to find a family picture. Or maybe it's more than one picture. Maybe you don't have a family picture of all you together. And I'm not talking about your portrait. I'm talking about a picture that shows a family memory, that shows your family in the way you want it to happen. Maybe it's going to be a bunch of individuals pictures. Maybe it's going to be a picture of your two littlest just laughing their heads off, or it may not be one full picture. It could be a little collage of pictures. But I want you to look at your pictures, and I want you to print some pictures out. Doesn't have to be amazing printing. It can even just be black and white, but it's something that reminds you about what you're aiming for. It's like those pictures that give you a glimmer of a hint of, oh, if I could just have it like that all the time. Because that is going to give you something to work towards, okay? And I want you to put this where you're going to keep your weekly checklist. So so that's part of it. And then this family vision experience, this is literally just taking your journal and asking yourself some questions about what you want your family culture to look like. There's a whole list of question prompts that are just, you don't have to answer every single question. They're just read through them, whichever ones, jump out to you. And this is definitely a sit on your own. So this week, it's not a lot of changes that you're making. This week, this is the end. That's all we've got to do. Let me pull up the checklist. This is the checklist you have. So just to give you a summary and conclusion, you're going to do some printing. This is stuff you're going to print out. Looks like a lot of things, but some of them are very easy. These are some daily habits. You're going to look at your module every day to keep this program in your mind. You're going to capture and destroy gremlins every day, and you're going to do some kind of mindset practice by reading your permissions, intentions, and compassion whispers. So you need to choose those when you create your sacred space. This checklist, I have it set up to where it can be folded and put in a day planner. I don't know why I'm obsessed with trifolds, but I love trifolds. So next week you'll get, module 2's checklist, and it'll be right here on this side. And it will just keep adding the next module to it. So you'll have the full course checklist on the page with you at all times. And you can mark it off, and I know you have to move your markings every week, but it will help you know. So often we're in these programs and you are all jazzed about what's going on the first week, and then it moves on to other steps and you totally forget about what you learned. I have this checklist designed this way so that you can see the whole program as it builds on itself, and you can go back and really mark off every week. When you print the new one, you have to go back and say, yes, I did that. Oh yeah, no, I've already done that. And hurry and check off everything that you've already accomplished, even though it was on the checklist you posted last week. Does that make sense? Because you're going to give yourself that constant self-evaluation and celebrating those successes. I hope this is exciting, that you're feeling excited to get started on this. This week is the foundation. We're starting with changing our mind, getting ourselves ready and primed to start making some habit changes next week. So if you have any questions, let me see if there's any questions. That's all I have for you today, and we are set. Any questions that we have out there? I don't know how. Okay, looks like we don't have. Oh, I'm just looking at the chat. I love that you guys are doing the gremlins. You guys, so good. I totally get that. Yes, dedicating and being committed and dedicating yourself, Heidi. I can completely relate. And I love that you said you feel like you've rarely succeeded. That is totally one of those things that you can let go of, that you can give yourself permission to turn over a brand new leaf. You can give yourself permission to do what you've never done before. Write that on one of the permission slips. If anybody is feeling like they rarely succeed, or that they've tried things in the past and not stuck with them, on one of those permission slips, write, I give myself permission to have results I've never had before, or to do something I've never done before. Do you know what I'm saying? Where you can read that every day and be like, you know what, you don't have to be tied to those old assumptions and your old evidence. That's so 2 seconds ago. You can let that go. This is new. You totally have permission to be completely new. I love it. Just looking at the I want to look back at, I didn't look at all as people were sharing. Don't feel like it's too late for your kids. Julie, I see this. Don't feel like it's too late for your kids, because no matter, even if your children are grown, you can start modeling something that you have changed your mind and your paradigm. So even if you have grown children that are starting their own families, you still have that relationship that you can start building with them that doesn't have anything to do with them participating in work in your own home, but that they will then be able to look to you for guidance and direction as they start building something in their family, in their home. And it can start with how you treat and model how you treat yourself. This is so powerful. You will be surprised at how powerful and how it ripples out even without people in your own home. Big gremlins. You know, from Julie saying she just had surgery and can't walk around. So, you know what? Instead of having a compassion or your sacred space being somewhere where you have to go and stand, if you have access to just a notebook, just create, you know, little, if you're not able to get up and print something or whatever, just do it in a notebook. It doesn't have to have a mirror if you don't want to, or set your phone in the middle of your notebook on camera where you can see yourself, and write your compassion whispers and permissions around it. Give yourself permission to do what you can. Give yourself permission to take what is your 1%. Remember, 1% is the bar here. I know I said that on the side of the module, but 1% is the bar. Wherever you're at, you're not being compared to where everybody else is at in their journey in the group. Wherever you are at in your journey and in your stage right this minute, what's the 1% more you can do? 1% more is you can, from the couch, you can write gremlins and shred them up and throw them in a garbage can by hand. You can journal. You'll have plenty of time to do the journaling and all that kind of stuff. You can go really deep into that. You can do compassionate whispers and read your permissions and be intentional by creating that in just a notebook right there on your lap. So you can so do this. Just don't worry about what's coming down in a week or in 2 weeks. Worry about just this week's assignments. Don't worry about where the program's going to go. Don't worry about that, except for in how it plays into creating your vision. Okay? So we're working on our mind and laying that foundation so that we can start building on that next week. Don't worry about what's coming up next week. Just worry about what's happening today. So if there's not any other questions, I love it, you guys. Thank you so much for thank you so much for being live. I'm sorry, I've got to learn how to read the chat box and stay and focus on what I'm saying. I totally want to hear what you guys are saying, and I'm laughing that I can't keep my train of thought. But thank you so much for joining me today, and I apologize for the length. Next week, when we don't have to go through all the orientation, it will be a solid hour, and we won't have to. You won't have to be torn or feeling like it's taking all your life. So thanks. We'll see you guys later.